Part 39. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gumyu Shuang. Chapter 381. Although meeting Zhu Liuyu was somewhat expected, and inviting Bai Yat and the others to dinner was even more expected. But at least it was only at noon. Si Lu felt that he could still bear it. You still have to go shopping in the supermarket. They went to the seasonal vegetable section and the seafood section, that is, they picked some more abundant ingredients. At 10:30, they drove back, and the trunk was full of a large box. It was impossible to cook a lot, after all, Yingwan was just one person. She hadn't cooked some dishes yet, and she was still searching for recipes online. In the car, she seemed to have nothing to do and asked Si Lu, "Isn't it your birthday today? Why don't you hold a birthday party at home?" She asked casually, mainly because Si Lu could come to her place for dinner, and of course there was time to hold a birthday party. "No need, there are too many things to do this year, so I don't want to hold it." Si Lu lazily found an excuse, but in fact he didn't think about holding it. He was thinking about what to do if he couldn't go back to the countryside that day. But now Yingwan is in the imperial capital, so he has time. "I can only have a meal at noon, I have things to do in the afternoon." Si Lu sighed. After all, after taking over the family business, some things are really beyond his control. Yingwan just nodded. Si Lu asked her, "How long will you stay in the capital and go back?" "I will go back when things progress. After all, there are still 3 episodes to be recorded." "And she also plans to live in the countryside?" Si Lu nodded thoughtfully. Arriving downstairs of Yingwan's house, they drove into the garage downstairs of the apartment building. When Si Lu and Yingwan appeared in the garage together, they could meet a few residents here along the way. When they saw Yingwan and Si Lu, they were a little surprised. Although not everyone living in the capital knows Si Lu, Yingwan's affairs are now a hot topic. Everyone is basically curious about this legendary super genius, even people of different classes will pay attention to it, not to mention that Yingwan herself has many businesses. Therefore, many people know Yingwan. Seeing her appear here, the first thing is surprise. But after all, they didn't know each other, so they didn't dare to approach and talk. When they passed by them, these passers-by would whisper a few words. Carrying the vegetables upstairs, Yingwan was about to start cooking. When Si Lu entered her house, he looked around a little. Yingwan didn't actually live here permanently, and the decoration style was mostly simple, without much life atmosphere. However, after staying here for a while, the living room that was visible from the outside was filled with a bunch of miscellaneous equipment, all related to mechanical materials. In the corner of a wall in the living room, Dahe was sitting there charging obediently. When he saw Si Lu coming, he politely raised his hand and habitually asked him, "Have you eaten?" Si Lu ignored it. Dahe saw the acquaintance, jumped over from the sofa, pounced at Si Lu's feet, and barked at him twice. Si Lu saw Xiaohe and squinted his eyes. Seeing that its fur was clean and shiny, he knew that Yingwan took good care of it. He himself had mysophobia and didn't like these small animals, but after all, it was raised by Yingwan. He lowered his head and stroked Xiaohe's head with his fingers. Puppies like to be touched. Seeing Si Lu touching it, it turned over habitually and opened its belly. A pair of big watery eyes looked at Si Lu. Si Lu. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gumyu Shuang. Chapter 382. Thinking back to the time when the dog was particularly displeased with him, it has only been a short time now and it has already rebelled. But this also shows that the dog considers him half its master. He was in a good mood when he thought of this, and he didn't hesitate to touch Xiaohe's belly a few times. Until Yingwan's voice came from inside, "You need to help." There were too many things, and it was impossible for her to handle everything by herself. Even if Si Lu couldn't cook, he would be able to wash vegetables and help cut these things. Sci-Lu paused. He was a master at home, so it was natural for Yingwan to order this. The key point was that he didn't have any objection in his heart. He sighed and walked over. The kitchen and the living room are integrated, with the living room on this side and the kitchen on the other side. It is a very simple and atmospheric design. He walked over and washed his hands first, looking at the pile of things he bought on the table and hesitated. What should I do? Yingwan took out a tablet and flipped a video to show him. Learn from it. It was a video of cutting vegetables. Sci-Lu. Xiaohei also followed with a swish of his tail. Seeing Sci-Lu start to work in the kitchen, he rubbed against Yingwan's feet, wanting Yingwan to touch him. Just now, he was touched on the belly briefly, and he said that he still needed to enjoy it. Yingwan didn't have time to pay attention to him, and said in a clear voice, "Go play by yourself over there, I'm going to cook." Xiaohei swung his tail again after hearing this, probably because he understood, and ran to find Dehei. Dehei asked Sci-Lu just now but didn't get an answer. At this moment, seeing Xiaohei coming over, he lowered his head and asked again, "Have you eaten?" Xiaohei didn't understand, but just raised his head to look at Dehei, and then barked twice. In the living room, except for Dehei's occasional mechanical voice, there was only the quiet atmosphere in the kitchen. When Sci-Lu wanted to talk to Yingwan, Sci Guanyi's phone call broke the silence. He asked Sci-Lu on the phone, "Where are you doing now?" Sci-Lu looked at the fresh vegetables on hand and said casually, "Cut vegetables." Sci Guanyi. He seemed to have heard something absurd, but he didn't hear it clearly, so he asked quickly, "Can you say it again?" Sci-Lu repeated impatiently, "Washing vegetables and preparing to cook." Sci Guanyi. This is not the sky is going to rain red, but just as terrible as the end of the century, you can cook. So much so that he, as a father, seemed to be a little surprised and unacceptable. Sci-Lu sneered and didn't answer. Sci Guanyi said again, "I received a message that someone saw you and Yingwan together in the supermarket just now. Is this true?" Sci Guanyi had never thought that Sci-Lu and Yingwan's relationship could be so good. It's just that he stayed in the countryside from time to time recently and didn't come back. He had expected it in his heart, but he couldn't think of it in depth. Sci Guanyi was shocked when he received the news. He had wanted to persuade his son to hook up with Yingwan, but he didn't have much hope for Sci-Lu. Not to mention Yingwan's indifference, his son's behavior was not something Yingwan could handle. "Why are you asking so many unnecessary questions now that you've received the news?" Sci-Lu held the knife and cut crookedly while talking on the phone. "According to the video, I thought you would receive the news early, but it seems you can't do it now, Dad." Sci Guanyi. "You can't do it, this annoying son. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 383. What is your relationship with Yingwan? Sci Guanyi was a little puzzled. "You don't really have any feelings for her?" Sci-Lu's eyes darkened, and his voice became a little colder. "No." Sci Guanyi was really surprised. At that time, he had asked Sci-Lu, but this person said that he didn't know Yingwan, but now he stayed in the countryside and refused to come back. He just didn't know if Sci-Lu really fell in love with Yingwan in such a short time. He sighed earnestly, "If it were someone else, I wouldn't doubt you, but if it was Yingwan, I don't think you have much hope." Sci-Lu. Even his old father had no hope for this matter, but he was stubborn. "What do you know, I have great hope." Sci Guanyi thought about it. It's not good to hit his son like this, but thinking about his usual bastard character, Sci Guanyi felt that his son should have some idea in his heart. He only warned, "You'd better have some sense of propriety." Yingwan is not someone else. If you offend her with your temper, you will not only offend her, but others. At that time, I, as a father, will not be able to protect you. Yingwan's identity is too special, let alone whether Si Lu has ever been in love. Si Guanyi is afraid that the people above will deal with Si Lu if his bastard character really makes Yingwan angry. Si Lu thinks Si Guanyi is just meddling in other people's business and said coldly, "What do you think I can do to her?" He usually treats Yingwan like an ancestor. Dare to make her angry? I'm afraid she is too bold. Hearing that Si Lu is unhappy now, Si Guanyi instantly analyzed something and asked, "What is the progress now?" Si Lu glanced at Yingwan. She was concentrating on her own work, but Si Lu knew that she could do many things at the same time. Yingwan couldn't hear what Si Guanyi said on his phone, but according to his own words, Yingwan should know that he was talking about her. But she still looked calm, as if she didn't know Si Lu was talking about her, and there was no ripple at all. People like her would be able to remain calm even if the sky fell. Si Lu raised his eyebrows and said to himself, "Fortunately, we will probably be a family soon." Si Guanyi. Yingwan. Her busy figure still paused for a moment, and turned her head to glance at Si Lu. Obviously, she understood the meaning of Si Lu's words. There was also a trace of incredulity in her eyes, as if she was surprised at Si Lu's thick skin. Si Guanyi was shocked. "It has come to this? When will you bring him back for me to see him formally?" Si Lu quickly refused, "I am very busy at the moment." Si Guanyi knew that Si Lu was probably talking nonsense when he heard this, and he immediately sneered, "Oh, really? Really busy?" Si Lu was impatient to say anything more to him, and just said, "I have something else to do, I'll hang up first." After hanging up the phone, Yingwan spoke lightly, "Are you talking to your dad?" Si Lu's face was calm, "Yeah." It was as if those shameless words just now were not said by him. Yingwan glanced at him, probably wanting to ask something, but it was a little difficult to say. She could only stare at Si Lu deeply, or turned her body back and busy herself with her own things. She really couldn't hear what Si Guanyi was saying, but she could also analyze from Si Lu's words that the topic of the father and son was probably her. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 384. If you understand Si Lu's shameless words again, you can roughly guess what they are talking about. Why is he so confident? Si Lu has always been around her, but he is not the kind that is particularly annoying. In just 2 or 3 short months, they actually didn't meet many times, and most of the time they were in the same place. He knew the limits and never came to bother her too much. He once said that he liked her. At that time, Yingwan clearly refused. She didn't like Si Lu, but she didn't hate him either. What made her feel that something was wrong with her recently was that dream. The content of the dream was incredible, and the key was that she had never thought of having such a dream. Is it really like Bai Ya said, sometimes when you stay alone for a long time, you will always have some other thoughts? She has never been in a relationship, and there has been no dog food around her. She has always been alone. In fact, she doesn't quite understand the meaning and beginning of some things, but instinctively feels that the dream has indeed brought her troubles. Now the troubled person is also around her, so she is a little confused. She has never thought about marriage carefully, but she is not completely resistant. She just had no idea about her future significant other. Just like when Bai Ya and Zhu Liuya got married, Bai Ya also talked about this. She didn't understand, but just felt that marriage was not in her main plan. Thinking about this in her heart did not delay her actions at all. She could do many things at the same time. Sometimes she would be in a daze without being noticed. The two of them were busy with their own things and didn't talk. At about 11:30, Bai Ya and Zhu Liuya came. Baya had the password, so he could come up directly. He and Zuluya got out of the elevator, turned around and saw Silu, who was sitting lazily on the sofa playing games after finishing his work. When Baya saw Silu, and then looked at Yingwan, who was still busy in the kitchen, he suddenly got sick and felt unhappy if he didn't say anything to him. "Si, are you still human? My boss is working hard over there, and you are sitting here playing games. What's wrong? It's your birthday, and you are being served. It's okay for others, but you actually let my boss cook for you. How shameless are you?" Baya has always been a little upset with Silu, especially knowing that this person wants to take over his boss, which is really unpleasant. How could Silu's thick skin be defeated by these two sentences? He raised his eyes and glanced at Baya and Zuluyu. This action seemed to have some arms, and his voice was particularly indifferent. "My face is so small, can't you see it?" Baya. Shameless person. Zuluyu was very self-conscious. She ignored the two men who were starting to argue with each other and walked to the kitchen. She smelled the fragrance that had already begun to spread and couldn't stop swallowing her saliva. "Ah, Yingwan, the dishes you cook are really delicious. I can never cook as delicious as you do." Baya said loudly, "Of course, don't you see the difference in IQ? I'll kill." Zuluyu's face was ferocious for a moment, and when she realized that Yingwan was here, she quickly restrained herself, looked weak, and laughed with gritted teeth. "Yingwan, you say, people like Baya, who have IQ but can't do anything, are they mentally retarded in life?" Yingwan glanced at Baya, "Not sure, probably." Baya. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 385. Silu sneered, "Be more confident and say yes directly." Baya pointed at him angrily, "How dare you, a loser, say that about me?" Silu sneered and ignored him completely. Dahe came over and said to Baya, "Have you eaten?" Baya glanced at Dahe and said, "Hey to Yingwan, boss, is this the intelligent robot you made?" Yingwan nodded. Baya looked up and down at Dahe and said, "It looks a bit outdated. Now the company has this business. Do you want to remodel it? We also have AI research projects under our company." "No need." Yingwan said, "I plan to set up one myself. It will not conflict with the company's business. I will form my own team." Baya heard something and hurried over, "Are you really going to focus on this?" Yingwan nodded, his face calm, "My direction is a little different from what you are focusing on now, so I will study it myself first. If it is possible, it will not be a problem to integrate it at that time." Baya, "Okay, if you are short of people, I can transfer them to you at any time." Zuluyu said, "Hey, don't talk about company matters during the good time of eating. Do you want to help Yingwan? I can help you." Yingwan did not refuse. "Okay." Baya originally wanted to ask why he had to work so hard on his birthday, but he didn't say it because he saw that it was the boss who was busy. He walked to the sofa and saw Silu lying leisurely, secretly cursing that this dog man really only had a face. I don't know what he was thinking about. Baya's smile suddenly became gossipy. "Master Si, I heard that someone in your family introduced you to a blind date a few days ago." The voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for Yingwan to hear. Yingwan didn't waver, and Zuluyu's eyes moved over subconsciously. Who doesn't like to hear gossip? Blind date. Silu was not afraid at all, with a smile on his lips. "Oh, it seems to be true, I'm not interested, I haven't even met the person, so why is Mr. Bai interested? But your wife is still here, it's not so direct, isn't it?" Baya's face twisted. Zuluyu, who heard the gossip, also twisted his face. Of course, it was directed at Baya. Baya looked calm again. "Of course not, I'm just curious, Mr. Si is 28 years old and I heard that he has never had a girlfriend. I'm just curious. Si Lu glanced at him. What's the matter, do you like me? Otherwise, why are you so concerned about my affairs? Puff. Zhu Liu almost choked to death by his own saliva. I wonder why Si Lu is still so venomous. Bai Ya was completely powerless to fight back after being choked by this. He was so angry that he couldn't stand up to Si Lu. He could only smile awkwardly and said, I just asked casually, don't mind it, Mr. Si. Damn, Si Lu still wants to pursue his boss. He is determined to be a stumbling block on the road of love. He wants to introduce a partner to Yingwan. It doesn't matter even if Yingwan doesn't want to. He just needs to let Si Lu know that his boss will not have to worry about people pursuing him. A row of ideas flashed through his mind. Si Lu knew that Bai Ya didn't have any good intentions when he saw his appearance. After all, the two of them have never gotten along. But he didn't care. After all, Bai Ya and he had been fighting for a while, and Si Lu knew what kind of person he was. He was no match for him at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 386. It wasn't long before it was time to eat. Due to time constraints, Yingwan didn't do anything that took a long time to stew this time. These are quick cooking dishes. But after passing through her hands, every dish seemed to contain magic and exuded a special fragrance. Every bite is delicious. Zhu Liu has eaten so many delicious Chinese dishes, and Yingwan's cooking skills are of the highest level. She ate with great satisfaction. Almost shed tears. She has a high IQ, has done so many things, and now even the small things in life are done so meticulously and perfectly. What else can she not do? When the love is so strong, it can't be hidden, so much so that Zhu Liu couldn't help but say, Yingwan, if I hadn't met Bai Ya and married him so early, I might have pursued you. What is marriage and love? She can also be a good-looking girl with a high IQ who cooks delicious food. No reason is needed. Isn't life just about two people living together? She loves days like this. Hey, why did you marry Bai Ya so early? Thinking of this, she glared at Bai Ya angrily. Si Lu. Bai Ya. Si Lu narrowed his eyes, but he didn't expect that women would be a stumbling block on the road to love, especially married women who would have such terrifying thoughts. Bai Ya didn't expect his wife to rebel on the spot. Although nothing else happened, he felt that the color of the hat on his head was still very dangerous. It seems like it can be green at any time. So much so that he couldn't help but lower his face and said, what the hell are you talking about? Even if you pursue me, will the boss still like you? I have nothing but money. Zhu Liu. Is this praising her or humiliating her? Zhu Liu's words made Yingwan couldn't help laughing. You are too exaggerated. What an exaggeration. Zhu Liu was so angry at Bai Ya now that she couldn't help but look at Yingwan with starry eyes. Yingwan, think about it, you are so good looking, rich, and smart, and you have made such a great contribution to the country. If you have the idea of getting married in the future, you can consider me. Although I am married, I can get divorced. I am obedient and... That's too much, Zhu Liu. Bai Ya couldn't help it anymore. She is my boss, are you crazy? Zhu Liu glared at him. I'm not crazy. Anyway, we are picking people with high IQs. Why can't I choose someone with a higher IQ than you? Bai Ya. He didn't expect that one day he would be cruelly compared to his boss, and Bai Ya felt his heart bleed. Originally, he wanted to quarrel with Si Lu, but now he was angry at being quarreled by his wife. Si Lu, the bastard, was still smiling secretly beside him. Hee hee. Where are you going? This shows that his enemies are not only the same sex, but also the opposite sex. He can see that there are many women on the internet making trouble like this, but they can do it. Also, this era is already changing so fast that we are still not allowed to have true love between two girls. Yingwan's lack of love for so long doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a man. What if she really likes a girl? But Bai Ya still felt a little scary when he thought about that scene. Makes your scalp numb. Si Lu was calm and didn't react much. However, Zhu Liuyu and Bai Ya were not really ignorant. When they came, they didn't come empty-handed, they carried a big cake. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 387. This unpretentious process also exists among the rich second generation. I originally planned to eat it at night, but now I don't have time. Naturally, we have to finish the cake at noon. After eating, several people cleared the table and asked Salu to unpack the cake, put in candles and make a wish. Si Lu also had a cake on his birthday, but it was just a formality, but he still understood the process of making wishes. I closed my eyes and made a wish. When I opened my eyes, I saw the candles were blown out. Zhu Liuyu couldn't help but be curious. Brother Lu, what wish did you make? Si Lu looked at her with a half smile. Wouldn't it be ineffective if I said it? What wish did he make? When he said this, he glanced at Yingwan and licked his teeth with the tip of his tongue. Of course she made a wish to Yingwan to be with him for the rest of her life. What a simple and unpretentious wish, he believed that God would grant it to him. His eyes met with Yingwan's in mid-air, and a faint question flashed in her calm eyes. She probably thought about what Si Lu would wish for, but she was a little silent. Bai Ya stepped into the line of sight of the two of them and said urgently, "Hurry up and finish the process. We have a meeting in the afternoon. I and Lu Yu are leaving soon. Si Lu, you have to be busy with things in the afternoon, so I'll see you off." Si Lu sneered, "I drive my own car." Could he know what Bai Ya was thinking? He just wanted to keep Yingwan away from him as much as possible. Unfortunately, it's unrealistic. When he was cutting the cake, he looked at Yingwan and said in a low and sexy voice, "Teacher, do you want to know what I made a wish for?" Zhu Liuyu. My Arlu brother's voice is foul. Yingwan, I don't want to know. Bai Ya, ha 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 ha. Si Lu. He chuckled lightly, cut the first piece of cake and gave it to Yingwan. Yingwan reached out and took it, but didn't take 2 bites. We have almost eaten lunch. Cake is a kind of dessert after a meal, so naturally we can't eat much. Bai Ya and the others dealt with each other for a few times and accompanied Si Lu through the birthday process. When they were about to leave, Zhu Liuyu was still a little reluctant. She muttered, "You are busy with something but I am not. I want to stay here, let's play with Yingwan here." Although he knew that Zhu Liuyu, a cripple, Yingwan could not stand, but he couldn't stand it. What if Zhu Liuyu really changed his mind? Even if this person is his boss. Bai Ya was still very crisis conscious. He didn't want his hat to change color, so he forcefully pulled Zhu Liuyu to leave with him. The reason was still legitimate. "What are you doing here? Didn't you hear? Boss is going to study AI stuff these days. If you don't understand this, don't make trouble here." Zhu Liuyu was not very happy, but thinking about it, she really didn't understand, so she had no choice but to follow Bai Ya and leave. After they all left, the originally lively place suddenly became quiet. The table is still a little messy. I ate the cake but didn't clean it up, leaving most of it. There seemed to be no waste in their consciousness, but Si Lu looked at the table thoughtfully. "Should I take it out and throw it away?" Yingwan said, "Leave it alone, I can have it as dessert in the afternoon." She eats a lot, but she usually takes special sugar pills to deal with it. If she doesn't take sugar pills, she can eat normal things. The cake wasn't very big, so she wouldn't be afraid of getting fat after eating it. It's really too wasteful to just throw it away. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 388. Si Lu hummed, rewrapped the cake and put it there. Then he looked at Yingwan and sighed softly, I have something to do in the afternoon, so I'll leave first. Yingwan nodded. When he walked to the elevator and was about to press the button, he suddenly thought of something, turned around, and his smile became brighter, I had a very happy birthday. Even if there are two troublemakers, it won't matter. After all, they are living with Yingwan. It is indeed much happier than the previous birthday party when I faced congratulations from a large group of people. Yingwan paused for a moment. She thought of something and said slowly, as long as you are happy, this meal is my birthday gift to you. Happy birthday. For people of their level, what they give is just money. Besides, Yingwan herself has no concept of giving gifts. This meal is her birthday gift. After receiving this blessing, Si Lu was much satisfied. There was a smile on his lips when he left, which showed that he was in a very good mood. Seeing him leaving, Yingwan turned around. Xiao He squatted on the sofa and looked at her with his head tilted. Yingwan frowned slightly, Xiao He, you can't get on the sofa, you're losing hair. Xiao He whimpered, swung his tail and got off the sofa. Dehe came from the side and asked again, have you eaten? Yingwan looked at Dehe and said thoughtfully, you can improve it. After all, it was the first artificial intelligence that he had developed, and its significance was extraordinary. Yingwan had no intention of letting Dehe continue to be so confused. Even loading a data package would allow Dehe to have more intelligent replies. Of course, the most important thing is what she discussed with the person online. AI that can learn autonomously. If it can really succeed by then Dehe will be a milestone. Just like when she created it. Yingwan let out a breath. He was busy with something, so he could put aside other things. At the same time, an additional bombshell appeared on the internet. That's when Yingwan's encyclopedia information finally came out. In the past, everyone was integrating the latest encyclopedia information, and now it is almost completed. The person who wrote it was also specially sent by the state. I was very nervous about this, fearing that something would go wrong. After all, Yingwan's status was extraordinary and her contribution was too great, so naturally there couldn't be any mistakes. It's just that the matter about the chairman of Wanteng Group has not been officially made public, but in fact, some people have already made speculations about the Wanteng chip, so someone asked Bai Ya if he wanted to take this opportunity to compile it. Bai Ya thought for a while and said, it can be revealed that she is the developer of the Nuwa chip. As for her relationship with Wanteng, let the outside world guess. If there is too much movement at once, it will not be good for the boss. She is now in the imperial capital, we are recording a program. If we are too high profile, other accidents may occur. For example, Yingwan is now as popular as a star on the internet. Some things need to be done slowly. Fans are too excited and come to Yingwan in droves. Bai Ya doesn't want her to face these things. Although there are bodyguards, Yingwan still wants to live like an ordinary person. After the show is over, the impact of the announcement will be smaller. During this period, others can temporarily get some clues and let them accept it subtly, so they won't be so shocked by then. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 389. They agreed with Bai Ya's statement. After the information was summarized, Yingwan's life also appeared in the encyclopedia. Of course, it was put up at a logical time, and there was no special publicity. Fans could not resist searching Yingwan hundreds of times a day. When I first saw Yingwan's encyclopedia information on the internet, I thought it was a random summary made by a blogger, but after clicking in and seeing Yingwan's life information, my eyes fell out. I'm R. Compared with the development of the Wanteng chip, how many awards did Nima win in his life? How many times did he win the first place in national level competitions? Such small things don't need to be mentioned in detail, right? Isn't it enough to just say that he is awesome? Many fans found with tears in their eyes that just counting the awards Yingwan won almost made the mouse scroll down several pages. Seeing the countless awards and the countless awards won in competitions, there was not even a runner-up, not even a so-called second place. All first place, or champion, or gold medal or something like that. The fans were suffocating the more they watched, and some even said they needed emergency treatment. They pinched their noses to avoid fainting. It turns out that there are people who can completely break through people's imagination and let them see what a real god is like. Weibo, unsurprisingly, exploded. Hashtag Yingwan's encyclopedia hashtag. Hashtag the most awesome academic master in history hashtag. Hashtag my mother asked me why I kneeled down to read the encyclopedia hashtag. Hashtag the peak of human IQ hashtag. Several eye-catching topics directly jumped to the hot search on Weibo, the forums exploded, the news media also exploded, and Lin Mei's side, also exploded again. A famous V made a summary online: I advise everyone not to read Yingwan's encyclopedia information, it will be blinding, and you will really receive a kind of critical blow from the soul if you must read it. I will make a summary first. Yingwan is 24 years old this year. She has won national level competitions in mathematics, physics, chemistry, history, and even Chinese. She has won 32 championships, 17 gold medals, and 19 first prizes. Why do I say that they are all first prizes and are separated? That's because the names of the first prizes in various competitions are different, so they are summarized separately. Most of her competitions were before the age of 13. Maybe she was too abnormal and was not allowed to participate later. After the age of 13, she won various world-class awards. I don't want to popularize how awesome the awards are. You can read the encyclopedia yourself. The key is to be proficient in the languages of 21 countries, and characters. What's more abnormal is that there is a learning at the end of the information. The most famous Nuwa chip was developed by her. Relying on the Nuwa chip, my country's scientific and technological level has leapt to the top in the world. There are 217 patents in total, of which 13 are used in the world, 81 are open and free patents, and 24 are paid patents. What does it mean? The concept is that with these patents, she can create as much as she wants in her life, and all the consortiums in the world will have to pay her patent fees. As long as it involves the latest products, 90% of them are related to her patented technology. The well-known Professor Emeritus Haddon is simply not worth mentioning in comparison. So before I looked at the encyclopedia, I saw the summary of these hot searches, and then looked at the main content of the spectators. My scalp exploded and the melon fell. At that moment, tears welled up. This is no longer the difference between people. This is a god, this is not a god, they don't believe it. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 390. Hashtag my mother has called me and scolded me countless times. Hashtag materials. Hashtag I'm tired of saying why the Lin family is here. Hashtag materials. Hashtag why on earth is Lin Mei doing this, why? Hashtag to be honest, if the country hadn't made it public in person, if you told me you were a 13-year-old Professor Haddon, I would have thought you were humming, bragging / smiling. I thought this was the limit of my imagination. It turns out that some people really don't want to do it, not that it can't be done. Hashtag I have seen almost all the nightmares of students in this world. Hashtag isn't it allowed to participate because I have won too many awards? Tears welled up in my eyes, I really couldn't believe she was actually a human being. Hashtag Cyclopedia Information Hashtag haha, she is the reincarnation of a god, the kind with memories, absolutely, I don't believe she is a human being, I do not believe. Hashtag, this is too damn outrageous, just mastering the languages of 21 countries, is this really something that a person can do? Hashtagpedia Information Hashtag damn it, the developer of the Nuwa chip, this alone is so awesome. Hashtag Cyclopedia Information Hashtag why on earth does she want to farm in the countryside, damn it. Not only Weibo exploded, but maybe the whole world exploded. Su Xiao's hands were shaking when he looked at the contents. She had never even heard of the names of many awards there, but it didn't stop her from feeling how awesome the awards were. She thought this was the limit of her imagination, but she didn't expect that there were even more extremes. Su Xiao asked Lin Mei with tears in her eyes, is this really possible for humans? Lin Mei, you ask a mortal like me, how can I know? Her tone was trembling. How good are the Lin family's genes? Wrong. Why was all this intelligence given to Yingwan and not to them? She didn't want to think about the expressions of the Lin family at the moment. She only knew what kind of divine prompting she had received before she thought of looking for this sister. And this sister is willing to record a show with her. If allowed, she felt that she would have to kneel down and kowtow when facing Yingwan. It turns out that it's not that there is no encyclopedia information, but that after the encyclopedia information came out, officials must also consider how much harm such a smart person can cause to ordinary people. But in fact, they are quite open-minded. Hee. After all, they are all gods, this is no longer a human being. Now if you want to say that Yingwan is a human being, they won't recognize him. Isn't it normal for gods to be able to do these things? What are you asking me about? You actually compare me to gods, you are simply insulting the world. Those sunspots who were usually yin and yang in Yingwan completely disappeared without a trace. Even Ye and I, who was far abroad, felt his humming scalp numb. Fortunately, she listened to Yenning's words and ran away early. Otherwise, what would happen to her if this information came out? I always thought that my imagination was big enough, and Yingwan could break through human limits again and again. Is she really a human being? This is not derogatory, it really comes from the heart of every melon eater who sees this news. Perhaps it was because he suffered such a heavy blow that there was less entertainment news on Weibo. Everyone no longer cares so much about eating melons. They just feel that this world is too fake. There will be more later. Another important notice is that not only due to physical reasons and some special things that happened in the past 2 days, this book has been confirmed to be finished in June, and there will be a big update at the end of the month. I said earlier that there isn't much content, so now it's just the speed of completion that makes it more or less. My conclusion has nothing to do with readers urging you to update. I also understand your anxious mentality, but sometimes I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Due to some special reasons, this book is the only one for you to read. There will be no new books published in the future. Thank you very much for meeting you all briefly. I am actually very grateful that you gave me this book. For such a good result, I would also like to thank most of the readers for their tolerance for my unreasonable interruption of updates. It doesn't matter if you accuse me, I can understand it. Finishing this book well is my guarantee to you. I wish you happiness every day.